Am I okay? Speak to me. Speak to me, Internet. Am I much better now? Hey, Kiki, come on up. Yay! Kiki is concerned, and she has decided to make her presence known. Today, the part of Anne will be played by a giant brown dog. Yeah, will you play my part? You want to do the stream? Do you want to do the stream? You would just paint things with your tongue. That wouldn't be fun at all. Most people couldn't do that. Most people couldn't do that. No, it's not very accessible, Keeks. It's not very accessible. It's just not. Oh, it's not. Oh, no. Yes. Yes, I know. You like to lick things. You cannot lie. Yes, yes, I know. Uh, so is my sound fixed? Sorry, I can't see because I have a giant dog in my way. Hey, come on. Dork. All right, good girl. Good girl. Yeah, that was good, Bubba. That was good. Stuck behind a Kiki, more like it. All right, Bubba, work. Last day of work. Mama's going to be off tomorrow. Remember, tomorrow is my birthday, and I am taking it off work because I can. And because I believe in that. I don't care how many birthdays I have. I want them off work, whatever work is. Yes, I don't want to be made of bees. That's like nightmare fuel for me. All right. We's going to do a base today. We're going to get some cork and do some stuff. Yeah. I'm very proud of myself. We went out, Bryce was here visiting us with his wife last night. And we went out to our favorite Thai restaurant, and I did not overeat. I was very good. I only had a sip of David's Thai iced tea, and I did not order one for myself, even though I love those dang things. Oh, sorry, Gurnico. I'll hold off, like, starting things then. I have to get out working things anyway. So what we're going to do is we're going to remove the regular base from this. And we're going to set her up with a new base. And we're going to make, because the tile floor I like, we're going to make tiles. And I have a cardstock that I will show you that makes it easy. Yeah, otherwise she'll just cry all day. Oh, no. Quindy. You're not that old. You shouldn't be crying. Peeks, settle. You know better than that, young lady. So I want to start with some cork, because I want to just raise this up a bit. It'll just be like the ground underneath the tiles. So I want to break it about there. So this is a thin cork that is used for like coasters. You can get it at like places like Hobby Lobby. Oh, you've always hated your birthday. Aw, but birthdays are cool. Just make it into the day you buy yourself treats, and you'll love it. Like being old now, I have followed my mom's cue, and the entire month up to my birthday, or at least for the week or the 2 weeks, is a present extravaganza. Thus my spending spree in Ashland on yarn and soap, handmade soap. My secret vice, my not so secret vice. I'm sorry that you hate your birthday. It's sad. Your birthday is sad. I want some room to do tiles, so I'm probably going to put her, she would fit, actually let's pop her off of this and take a look at how well she fits on either of these bases. This is the one without the slotta that I typically use when I have a larger model, and this is the little one that I have to close up the slotta base. And these are really the two that I use for 28, 32 millimeter figures, you know. These days 28s are more like 32s or 40s. I'm not complaining because it makes it easier for me to see things. The scale creep is real, and I'm in for it. I'm here for it. Alright, so I have a lot of gooey sticky tack on the bottom of this model. So let's scrape up some so that we can take that off. Sticky tack just goes this way. It's been sitting for a long time. It tends to age not great. But I find that I can reuse it if I just stop and knead it together again and give it some structure. And the best way to take sticky tack off is to get your sticky tack all up in a ball and then just take it off. You're working on your birthday? Oh, sad. That's so sad. Yeah, I've had to do it various times. I just take that evening to do very, very fun stuff. Or I celebrate my birthday on the weekend. But yeah, it sucks to have to work on your birthday. Alrighty. Now I can take this big blob and remove this stuff. I can pull off what I can. And then use the blob. Right. Yeah, and I know some people just don't care, but I have always, maybe it's because I push myself so hard on other days, but I've always believed in like taking my birthday for me. Which pretty much was true even when I was first starting working in my teens. Is I was like, if I could, I always got my birthday off. And then we've got it all cleaned up. All right, oh, a little bit left. There we go. Okie dokie. So let's look at spacing on these bases and how she looks. I believe he's asking why you hate your birthday, Quindy, but since that's a personal question, if you don't want to volunteer the information, that's no problem. Just because I'm TMI about my emotions and stuff doesn't mean everybody on the stream has to be. Nice, Kerniko, nice. Yeah, that's good, Laura. Yeah. Alrighty, so my worry about this space is just that it's so small. Yeah. The books and stuff make this mini have a wider quote-unquote stance. So if I put the mini on here, I've got like no room. I mean, it's probably the most concise base for it. Let's just cut off this excess stuff and then we can decide. Hey, Crowley, how's it going? Ah, I'm just going to drop things today. Actually, I'm not. It's good. My husband almost woke me up early today. I had to like level a murderous glare at him at 7 because I get to sleep till 7:25 or yeah, 7:25. That's my wake up. That's it. So there are like nice flagstones on this base, and we're gonna recreate that effect, but a little bit cooler, a little bit more 3D. So when you're cutting off wave bases, just start very slowly. You don't want to hurt anything else. And the Bone USA material is, as you can see, pretty brittle. It's sheared there. Let me get off in focus here. So wear glasses, lest you have plastic in your eye. And I'm going to cut relatively close. So that's sheared because I tried to take too much off at once. Doing these little cuts with the side cutters is a little better. And taking off little bits at a time. If you do the small cuts, you can feel the plasticity and the flexibility of the material. But if you try to do big cuts, you get that shearing effect. So we're going to just try to cut a little bit here. There it is again. So too much, you can easily see what too much is. Now I'm back to these little parts. It's going to be much easier. Much easier to keep things from flying. But yes, especially if you have pets in the room with you, try not to fling plastic at them. Hi, Roger. Yeah, I hate that, Kroniko. I never, like, the minute, like, we're going out to dinner on my birthday tomorrow, and I am essentially, I will tell the staff that it is my birthday because I think it gets us a free dessert. But I will, in the same breath, say no singing. On pain of death. Yes, it's mortifying. I hate it too. Yes. I never got people who enjoyed that. I never got them. I do not understand their mindset. Nor do I wish to. So if you knew you were going to break this off the base in advance, it would probably be easier for you to do so then because, you know, obviously with this you have to worry about your paint job and being very careful. I just have no fear because if I accidentally rub some paint off or knock some paint off, I can fix it. I have a very pragmatic view of such things. Touching up is easy. I'm surprised you still talk to them too. You're way too forgiving, Kerniko. We've talked about this before. Such people. Like, when you become a dragon riding evil supervillainess, they should be made to regret their ways. Oh man, Laura. People who enjoy embarrassing other people, I just don't get it. It's all fun and games until you do it back to them. Although some of them handle mortification just because they'll take any attention they can get. And they do not understand that you do not appreciate it. Get this last little bit. That little bottle is pretty precarious right now. So I'm trying to be a little careful here. Oh, can't get it yet. There we go. That bottle's just got a little tiny projection holding it up. Now I'm going to take my knife and I'm going to clean up this a little bit. Around the edges. And then I'm going to chop off a bunch of the bottom. Hello, Kodiak. So I have to think about how I'm going to do this. I could do cork around the edges and do the tiles onto that. Or I could cut this all off and mount the figure on the cork. I could also use something like a putty to kind of embed on the base. I think I'm just I'm gonna look at my height here. I should be able... See, the cork is a little bit thicker, so that to me says I need to pin it into the cork. Yeah, maybe all that trauma is why you hate your birthday. It probably is. It probably is, actually, Quindy. You would laugh, but it's true. Because those associations, those emotional associations we make when we're tiny kids are the strongest dang things and the hardest to get out of our heads. Like, when we really examine them and we realize that that's what's driving our behavior, usually it's like followed by dismay. It's dismay that tiny you still has all those, that influence. So I'm going to take my X-Acto and just kind of trim very gently around the base of all of these things. The sombrero, oh my gosh. The cat with the sombrero. The nice thing about the softness of this iocast is that it's easy to carve away when you're doing this, like very gently. Like I can just sliver it away to get right up to the bottom of that bottle, so that when I put it on a new base, it's flush. Having that softness lets you really control when you're carving. And I'd rather remove this material now than when I've cut away most of this, because once I lose this support, it's much harder to cut away closely without damaging something. You have a lot less control when the base is really thin. I got a new beta reader yesterday. I'm all thrilled. Bryce's wife, it turns out, read my books and like loved them. Loved them to death. And she's actually a teacher. She's a professor. So I'm super flattered that she wants to be a beta reader for me. Like I think she'll be a good one. Apparently it's on her bucket list. Being a beta reader for an author she liked was on her bucket list. And she's like, I would love to. So that's super cool. She also is like the only person I've talked to like who caught like a lot of the kind of Easter eggs I have in the book with fairy tales. I mention like there are fairy tales that I kind of mention in passing just as part of a conversation, or things from fairy tales that I mention. And she's like, and I caught this, and I caught this, and it's so cool. Because she's apparently a lover of fairy tales as well. Like, she understood where the dogs were from right away. And some of the other references I have. So yeah, so that's great. The book, I'm really aiming to get done by the end of this month. Like, I'm going to make a push. Because then I can definitely have it out by ReaperCon. It should take me about 2 weeks to rewrite it, to do the edit. I think that actually lifting weights has helped with hand pain for me. It did when I was in my 20s too, when I had hand pain in college. Lifting weights helped with all of that. I don't know why. Maybe circulation, just helping circulation. Yours is of course from a different source, Kuro. It was funny though. I knew that Bryce did CrossFit, and so I mentioned to his wife that I had started doing it, and she's like, "But it's terrible." I was like, "Well, yeah, it's also like kind of fun." She's like, "I don't get the fun out of it." Not for her. That's fair though, because different forms of working out are good for different people, right? But it was funny. Is that official Book of World Records? Oh yeah, Guinness. Okay, yeah. Now I need to trim this one because it's still rough. All right. Now I want to trim away some of this. Yeah, yeah, that's the standard measurement, feet to withers. Just like with horses, you measure to the withers. Do I want to cut all this off, or do I just want to put the... I keep thinking about just putting the cork around it, because I don't need the cork. Well, it's just going to be a pain, though. It's just going to be a pain. I probably need to cut it off. In the summer anyway, yeah. So here is where I don't care if I shear material off, and it actually will help me make more progress faster. I'm only going about halfway because I don't want to get any big shears that affect the model. So I'm like not, I'm not trying to shear off a huge piece. I'm just like clipping in a little bit at a time. I'm going about halfway as far as the depth of the base, because I can carve off after that. I just want to take off a bulk amount at the beginning, because it'll make it easier to remove that with the snippers. Let's try to snip and pull and carve and pull it off, and hey, Thormel. It's easier to do this on thinner parts. It's harder to do it on thicker parts. There we go. You always keep your level side of your shears toward the model, so you're always going to pop it off this way. And then we can just carve. So this takes a little while, but not like a terrible amount of time. And now we'll just carve it down to as even as we can. We'll leave a little bit because we're going to be putting physical tiles on. So we need to keep in mind that that tile has a width. So I don't want to go right up against the model. I want to actually leave a little bit. Or if I am going to go flush up against the model, or I forget and I do it, then I need to just set that straight. I need to do all the tiling first and then set the model straight onto the tiles, which is not a bad strategy, because then you have the tile there to pin through, to pin the model down, which is more secure than just cork. But yeah, I'm just gonna carve. And again, if you want, you can wrap the model up in something to try to protect it. I'm not too worried about it. I'll just touch it up after the fact. If I get a little bit of rub off, it's not a big deal to me. How's it going, Slayer? But yeah, you need to contact my other beta readers and see if they're free in July to read. It's funny sometimes how long it takes me to figure out, like, what's the real big point of this book. Like, I knew there were different themes I wanted to talk about in this book. But then, almost always, like, a central theme, like, just pops up out of nowhere at the end. It's like, wow, Sadis is really mad at Ash right now. Oh, that's why she's mad at Ash. And it just comes out of nowhere. Like, I'll think it's one thing, but it'll be something else. That's how intuitive writing is. The dangest things will pop up. Because your subconscious is always working on it. And for me, my subconscious is always working on the story. Even when I'm not writing. Even when I'm working on my Patreon or something. I also, like, I let a bunch of my ads kind of discontinue a bit. Like, because I was like, I'm spending a lot of money on ads right now and I don't have enough books to offset the costs. So I actually let my ads lapse a little bit. Except for, like, my core. And I'm still selling books, so pretty happy about that. I can pump up the ads, new ads activity again once the new book is out, I'll do it a bit, and then I will, when I've got the 4th book out at least, then I can go back to working on my ads more frequently. Back to the bayonet, yes. That was such a wonderful show. And Angela Lansbury was perfect for it. I should go, I bet you can watch those episodes somewhere. I should just go back and watch some of them and get the nostalgia back. I've almost got it to the point where I want it. So it's taken us about a half an hour, a little bit about that, to get this done, which is not bad, considering. I mean, will doing this add time? Yes. Will it allow you to then mount the bottom model on any base you want? Yes. And you can shave it, like I said, we could shave it right up to the bottom if we want to just do if we want to tile the base and then pin the model to it, we can essentially shave away all of this. Like, we're really close as it is. Yeah. We don't actually watch actual TV or have like any like packages or anything. Right now, I think we watch all our TV on our computer. Our TV is attached to a computer, and that's the only input it has. Just gonna keep shaving this a little bit and get it way down. I gotta be careful when it gets to this bottle, though, because it's pretty, delicately attached. it's really thin. But now, yeah, I have to watch out because there's like a space here between her and the books, right? So I know that that is going to be really fragile as I carve through this. So I have to be a little more careful. Then I can set it down, kind of see how flat it is. And now, of course, the problem is her wings are actually like lower than the base itself. So I do need to mount her up on something after I do this, obviously. We're planning to do that. Got all my little shavings here. I'll get those out of the way. I think we're okay. We'll carve a little more once I have the base constructed. So, okay, if I'm going to just tile the surface. Let's see here. Now I have her pretty free. I could set her back on the base a bit. I'm going to need to clear her wings. And yeah, I have enough space to show a nice tile in the front. So actually, she works on this base now. Now that I've taken off the rest of the base, this base will work. And I want to set her kind of back and toward so that whenever this is kind of a this is a rule in photography but also in art, if your model is looking a particular way, like toward the side, leave more space on that side. Generally, it's a little weird because her wings are a little off center too, because it's just the way the model's done, but she's naturally composed that way. All right, let's do this. So I won't really need this unless I want to raise her up a bit on the base, but she's tall as it is, so we don't really need the height. Some models really need the height. Like if she didn't have these wings rising up so high, she'd probably, and if she wasn't floating off the ground, she'd need more height, so I would use the cork. But now that I'm looking at this, I think putting down a sticky note and then tiling the base over it will be the way I want to go. And what I'm using to tile with is actually a textured cardstock. So it's a Plastruct, so it's a plastic card. So it's styrene, a sheet of styrene. And the particular one it is patio stone. And what it looks like is this. So essentially what it lets you do, you can just use a sheet and cut it out. I like to, and David likes to, get a bit more relief in our basing. So instead we cut out the individual sections and stones and then sculpt them a little bit, like just like dull the corners and stuff, which we will be doing. And then we lay them out in a design of our choosing, which leaves more cracks between them, not just this little sculpted depression, but an actual crack. So it's a lot higher relief. It just looks a little bit better. No, I don't need to, Pendrake. That's my point, is she is tall enough not to need the height. Some models, like Elmore is very temperamental today. Like Rask, he's shorter, and so for him, I want that extra height. I want to use this base to give him height. I want to stick it down on an extra base to give him more height. Short models or models that don't, like Halfling. Halfling definitely needed that extra base height, right? Because he's really short. So to give those models a little bit more standing and make them stand out more. Come on, Larry, stand, sit, stay. But to do that, but this model's very tall already. Doesn't need it. So instead I'm going to do the sticky note. No, not at all. I can just put her toward the back of the base. I don't even really need to put her toward the back of the base. If I put her even toward the center front, I clear. I was just noting that that's a thing. So since I took her off of her base, she does need to, you need to make sure that you're clearing the wingtips, but I don't need extra height to do it. And you can totally do that, but like, I don't think I need to teach you guys how to do a green stuff roller. Plus, I mean, it depends, but often, if you want real three-dimensionality, like green stuff rollers can do a lot of really nice stuff. But if you want extra dimensionality, adding real basing materials works really well. I just really like the feel that this gives you if you want a flagstone base, like to actually have the little stones, and these will be very flat, but then her basing was very flat. It's supposed to be a you know, a nice, like I said, I imagine her in a Gothic library with really nice marble tile basing. That's just how you roll. Yeah, sometimes when I'm mentioning this stuff, Pendrick, I'm just kind of thinking aloud. I'm like, oh, wingtips, I need to clear those, you know. But it doesn't mean that I need extra height to clear those. It just means I have to make sure to place her correctly on the base. Actually, I'm going to cut that more in. There. There. Sticky note, butchered. Morning, Daffodil. It's just so easy. Like, I used to use like a tape or something, and now it's like, no, I've just got a sticky note. And the sticky note is so much easier to cut because it's so nice and thin than tape would be. All right, I want to trim up my little flagstones here. I'm going to finish cutting the little guys out. I might need some more after this. I'll have to see. And if you want texture, you can use a texture paste to give these a little more texture if you don't want them super smooth. I want them pretty smooth. I don't think I want a really big one though. Well, actually a big one is nice because it fills the space, but I think I'm going to actually carve it a little bit at the edge so that it can go up against the side. The post-it note trick is so easy. I mean, you can use masking tape too, but masking tape is harder to carve. Gonna round off the edge of this just enough to make it a decent, actually that's quite a decent fit. I just want to curve off the corners a little bit. I want these to not be as tight fitting as the ones that come on her base. I want a little bit more space between them, just because I think that gives a nice texture to it. So I'll kind of bevel the edges and grind them down a little bit. You can also, since there is that bevel there, you can also trim that if you want. Or you can make the edge, with an X-Acto, it's very easy to make an irregular edge on these so they look more like, you know, like more naturally shaped stones, like if we wanted to. I can like carve in a little bit here, leave that out, carve it in here. Just make a little bit of variance so that it looks like more naturally carved stone. And you don't disrupt a lot by doing that of the shape, you know, you don't lose a lot. Sometimes I'll just make a nick in there. There. And I could also just use the flat side of the plastic card if I didn't want that bevel to hit me at all. But I'm going to utilize it. I'm going to just kind of carve it in a little bit and use it to suggest some depth. Make it a little bit irregular. Boop, boop, boop. Keep my shavings out of the way here. Ah. Oh, that's the other side. There we go. Then I just figure out where I want to stuff this. It seems to fit a little bit better, more back. I think I wanted to go this way though. There. So that's a nice solid piece that I can pin her into. So I can keep that in mind as I build out the base. I probably want to make sure that her base overlaps a little bit with that so that I can pin her into that. Because that nice big piece is a good pinning surface. Yep, I know. I hate using green stuff. Green stuff is so much of a pain. Alright, so David stole my Zap-A-Gap last night, but I stole it back. Oh, so I saw Bryce's Golden Demon entry last night, and it's insane. It's taken him years to build this. Someday you guys will see it once it's done. It is insane. It's a diorama. And I forgot to ask him how many models is in it, but it's a Space Marine type of Imperium diorama. And it's got this huge cathedral backdrop that's done in like bas relief. He's basing it directly on a piece of art from one of the 40K books. And he's using, to do that bas relief kind of stuff, he's using figures. So he's got to have at least 8 main figures in the diorama, if not 9 or 10, at least 8. And then every figure in that bas relief has got to be at least like, there's got to be 60. Like, it's insane. Like, it's just this, it looks like, you know Rodin's Gates of Hell, guys? How he's got all those figures, like, all intertwined and, like, swirling around in the backdrop? Like, on the Gates of Hell? That's what Bryce's backdrop for this diorama looks like. It's crazy. Like, I believe in him. I know he will finish it. It may take him a decade to finish it, because it's Golden Demon. He has to paint all of that to a super high standard. But if and when he succeeds, this is going to be a figure that people will not forget for decades. Like, it's that kind of piece. It's the magnum opus, best thing you've ever done in your entire career. This is what people will remember you for kind of piece. Like, it is that. It's insane how good it is. I don't want to enter Golden Demons when that sucker's in there. It's so good. Oh, Quindy, it's like, it'll just drop your jaw. You'll be like, how? Why? You know, what? It's so crazy. Insanely good. I hope he finishes it within a few years. But Bryce is a slow painter too, so I looked at him last night and I'm like, promise me you'll enjoy this, Bryce. Just enjoy it. Don't, like, stress about it. Don't push. Just enjoy it, right? Yeah. Yeah, people were really up in arms about that, including Golden Demon, and including other painters. I heard one painter give a very scathing review, pretty much saying that the piece didn't look good except from one angle with that backdrop. All right, so we've got a big block here that I'll have to carve and cut a bit, but that's okay. That I can essentially put a big block here, and then I can fill in with littler blocks around it. So I think I'll do that. And what I can do here is I can grab a thin Sharpie. This is one of the Sharpie, or I guess it's a fine marker. I used to have Sharpie fine ones. But I can kind of guesstimate here, like, where the curve of that base is going to be, and I'll overestimate to make sure that I don't, like, lose too much of it. But if I, like, do that, I can see, okay, if I follow this, it's going to be a bit big, but that's okay, because then I can carve it down, right, to fit. So I just want those little lines there so I can get close. So I've got my etching. You can see that little line there. And all I need is lightweight. I just need something to follow so that I can make sure that I can get close off the bat. And then I'll adjust. Oh yeah, and if you're not familiar with Bryce, yeah. He's B. Kokenauer when he pops into chat here and there. here on this stream. But he does amazing work, and he does scratch sculpts as well. Like, he's one of those people who can sculpt a figure from scratch. So I clipped off this triangle part, and I'm totally keeping that because chances are that's going to fill in somewhere like up here, right? So I can take this little triangle and repurpose it like up in this corner and just carve off part of it, right? So I've already... So yeah, so all I need to do, that fits perfectly there, all I need to do is carve off its little bits, see? So that's the kind of thing that you're looking to do is you know, when you're constructing this, I probably won't even need all of these little squares that I cut out, but I've got them in case. And this is fun. This part is really fun because it's just like putting together kind of a jigsaw puzzle that you make yourself. Like, you're just trying to fill in the space in a pretty way, you know, in an artsy way. Yeah, I need to do, maybe I'm thinking I am going to work on Critter this weekend on my stream, which is my Golden Demon entry. But I need to putty in a spot, like, right on his jaw. Like, the underside of his jaw has a line where two pieces came together. And then I need to fix the strap under his rump that I essentially blocked in with just, like, a strap of green stuff. Now I need to sculpt over the top to make it smooth and nice. And I think there's one other place that I found a mold line I need to, or a seam line that I need to putty. And then I'll have David look at it, and he'll find anything I missed. Yeah, he was actually sad that his classes were not full yet, guys. Because Bryce tries to put a lot of effort into figuring out what people want to learn. So he pays a lot of attention to, like, the classes that sell out and the classes that don't and everything, right? But when they first put in their classes, they don't have, you know, everybody doesn't know, you know, what's really going to be popular in a given year. So I know he was mentioning yesterday he was sad his classes weren't full. So if you have room in your schedule and you are able, or you have friends who are looking to add he's a really good instructor, and he's so good at everything he does, I would highly endorse Bryce. Yeah, he's really good. Yeah, which is actually, you know, he was sad about it, but I'm actually happy about it because that means that if people come, like, or sign up at the last minute, because there are always people who sign up at the last minute, but now that means they'll have access to taking some classes, right? I really don't like it when everything sells out super early. I like to see more, you know, just, you can almost guarantee that your classes will be full on the day of the con. If you've only got a few seats left, you know. Yep, it's always gonna, that's the spot that we are locked into with the hotel, so that's where we're at, sadly, War Shadow. Hopefully, like, when your kids are older, you'll be able to make it. Alright, so now I've got that curve done really well. I can slide this down here and see how well I've managed. And I haven't managed well at all. Okay, so I've got a lot to carve off still. And I've got to make this angle more so. I underestimated how much I was going to have to chop. I got all this nice curve along my pen line, and then I realized, oh, I still have so much to take off. So I'm going to actually take off some of this bottom part too. And a bit of this back here. And I'm not going to do much. I'm going to do a little bit, and I'm going to test it. Oh, I also was... No, I guess it doesn't matter. So that's closer. That's getting closer. And if you don't want many seams, then the answer is to just bevel the top edge just a little and make a little bit of some cutouts on the side, like just like stone napping, you know, like irregular edge here. So that'll make a little bit more space, just a tiny bit of space between the stones, even if you have them up against each other, if you have irregular spots. I want just a little more here. Curve, curve, carve. Take off a little bit. Cut it, nap it. And you can be, like, you don't have to be straight on this. Like I said, if you make irregularities in the stone, it's going to look natural. So it's really just kind of fun. Now we're getting close. We can see that we can see the edge showing up a little bit here, and I just need a little bit more off of these guys. So we're really close now. Just a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more off the bottom. Tiny bit more off here. And if you angle your knife like this, that's how you can kind of like put a bevel on the edge and just make it irregular, like it's, you know, natural stone, kind of a rough, rustic kind of look. And that can be a really nice look for something like this. Don't forget to do every edge, though. You don't want to glue it down and then realize you've forgotten to do your napping, because it's very hard to do when it's down here, already glued down. I've got all these little particles of plastic all around me now. I have to sweep them out of the way. Okay. Oh, almost. We're so close. We're so close. Oh my gosh, so close. And if I had put down cork first, I could just put this on. It wouldn't matter if it extended a little bit over the edge, because that's kind of what I would want. Right, so there you go. If you want to test out one of Bryce's classes and see if you like him as an instructor, go ahead and do that kind of thing. All right, I'm going to carve off a little bit more of this. A little bit more on this. A little bit more on that. Doot, doot. I'm just being so, like, I don't want to lose too much of it. Oh man, that's the heartbreaking. All right, now that I know where I need to cut it exactly, like I can see the edge of the base there. So to get it to lie flat, I'm just going to press it down, make it immobile, and I'm going to black out with my marker. Just kind of make a note where I need to cut. Exactly where I need to cut. And then I'll carve out those places and it should fit. And obviously this is like persnickety, but like if you're going to do a nice base for something, taking the time so you can see those little marks that I made, right? So now we carve those away totally. We take all of that off until we can't see the black anymore. I always like this sort of handwork. I think that it does really add a level of, just ups the level of the basing to do something like this. Just always looks really nice. Nicer than a lot of other treatments. Even though it takes time. But like I said, I kind of enjoy it. There we go, fits perfect. And you can see that lying nicely inside that edge, there's still a little bit of a gap between the stones. You can see the unevenness, and that's, you know, that's a nice touch. If I want a little more of that, I can absolutely accentuate it a bit more in this one. Make sure we keep all these little particles out of here because they're going to keep our base from lying flat. So I'm going to do a little bit more napping, kind of carving on the edge here. Just a tiny bit. Yeah, we definitely need, make sure to put your Twitch name on stuff, because then I know you instantly. All right, so there, that's where that's going to fit. And actually, that triangle that I cut out could work really well there. So let's actually glue down. Let's glue this one down. Ah. Yeah, a lot of that virtual stuff. I mean, my color mixing, or my, the class that I did for working with MSP, thinning MSP paints. That's one we mention a lot. Class I did for the virtual ReaperCon. And so yeah, that little triangle can fit really well in here. I just need to clip off its little, I need to clip off part of its belly and its little ends, so I can make that fit really nicely in there. I certainly could, you know, have put more different tiles in here. And that is something that I kind of missed out on by doing these big pieces, but it's a lot faster to do the big pieces as well. And one thing that I might be able to do to dress this up is to put some texturing on it, like to paint some freehand or something on the edges of these. Since I'm doing big tiles, I could give them a decoration, make them decorative tiles, and make it look a little more interesting if I wanted to. All right, so let's get this little one figured out. Yes. Okay, I'm going to actually use my clippers to clip the ends off of this, because it's just faster. Of course, my clippers are kind of old and sad, so they didn't do a perfect job. I still have to carve a bit. It can be hard to carve these little bits, so... Boop. Ah! Wrong side. Oh, I may have gone too far. I did kinda. Sometimes you do. Ah. Oop. Get up there. That's a little better. Still, I went a little bit too far, but that's all right. If I take a little bit of this off, I have some space to move this around. I can leave more gap. But yeah, sometimes you over trim if you don't do the marker trick, which I didn't there. I just relied on my gut feeling. Then you might be a little bit off. It's really hard to hold something this little. Now I'm throwing it on the floor, which means I might have. There it is. We were just talking about you, Bryce. I told them I didn't give them specifics, but I told them a little bit about your diorama, and I was guessing at the number of figures that were in it. Do you have a count of how many figures are in it totally? I told them they were all going to be absolutely gobsmacked if and when, like, when you finished it, when they saw pictures. Told them it was one for the ages. Still a little bit tight here. I think I want to flip it over. You should count, because I think it's going to be an impressive number. I was just impressed you knew when you were missing, like, one little cherub. There we go. That's not too bad. Alright, I do need to carve a little bit more off the belly, and I need to bevel the backside. Yeah, I could totally trim my fingernails at the same time, you're right. Yeah, I know. +1 because we said you had to add somebody else. It's all our fault. It's all our fault, guys. If Bryce goes insane because of the one extra model in his, like, 100 bazillion model diorama, it's all our fault. It's David and me. Boop. All right. Boop. Pop race was broken, yes. Yes, and we were promoting your ReaperCon classes, and we pointed out that you still had spots left and that you were sad and wanted full classes. And we also promoted the classes that you did, like, a long time ago for the virtual ReaperCon, if people wanted to try out you as an instructor. So we're promoting you today. We're promoting you. I should have figured you'd be on since you're on vacation. Yeah. Yeah, tell me when you get a model count. I don't expect you to do it now, but eventually, when you get home, and I'm impressed you brought that monstrosity with you. I'm so happy you did, though. All right, let's get this in there. Yeah, there we go. Yay! It's a little bit off, but you know what? It doesn't need to be perfect. It's flagstones. Flagstones were not perfect. I'm just going to put the glue down here instead of on the tiny flagstone. Oop. It'll partially soak into the sticky note, but it's not a big deal. And we'll get our... We have some time to reposition it since it's Zap-A-Gap. I'll position it there. I'll just use my knife and then it'll set, and we're getting there. Ah, still working. Too many phone calls to join earlier. I see. Still working remotely. That's cool. I showed David that Supple Leopard book, Bryce, and I showed him the pictures of, like, different positions for deadlifts and stuff. He was somewhat interested, so hopefully he'll so now I don't have any big pieces left. Now I've just got little pieces. Little tiny pieces, all the little bits. Here. All these tiny little guys. Let's see here. What can I do? Will this fit? Yeah, it fits really well, actually. And then I want this little narrow one. Maybe goes over here. It's a little bit... I need a tiny piece to go in there. So this is where it gets jigsaw puzzly, where you have to kind of plan out, like, okay, I need a piece that goes there, and I need a piece that goes there, or I need a piece that goes all the way over there, and a tiny piece to go there. Yeah, it looked like it. So, The book I'm talking about is called, I think, Becoming a Supple Leopard. It was done by I believe it was written by a physical therapist, wasn't it? Like physical or science, or a doctorate of physical therapy. It was somebody who actually has a clue. And it's a book about how to remain like pliable and being able to move and reducing aches and pains as you get older. So it's really good because it gives you a bunch of exercises, some of which you can just do without weights, some of which he's talking about form when you are using weights, and stretches and all sorts of cool things. And he talks about the biomechanics of it all, so he explains why. It's a pretty intensive book. I would say it's not like, it shouldn't be your first book on this sort of thing. But if you are like into this stuff, you may really enjoy it. I would say that that Pain Free book by Pete Egoscu that I always recommend would be like, that's really accessible. That's a really accessible book, and it'll start you thinking about, he does explain simple biomechanics. He does explain why the exercises work and why we hurt so much because we're, always sitting dysfunctionally and stuff like that. And our muscles are weak. So, but yeah, it's a cool book. It's got a lot of photographs. I didn't expect so many photographs of like form, like of good form when like lifting. But hopefully it will help David. Because it does actually have, I was interested, it actually does have like a guy lifting more like David was lifting the deadlift. Like he has a hard time keeping his shins upright and just shooting his butt back toward the wall. And this guy also did. So I think maybe it's like something you have to work on. But all right, I think that's where we're going to go next, and then we'll start filling in stuff. So I'm going to just bevel this guy and trim his little corners off. Right, if something hurts, you can strengthen it. I do not, actually. I had some medical forceps that I loved, but I don't know where I stuffed them, and I always forget to look for them, so I just do my hands. But yes, absolutely, if you do not have the tiny hand control, by all means, seek out a fine needle nose pliers to hold stuff for you. Like, if I had a ton of problem like holding stuff, I would be trying to figure out where I put my pliers. But since I manage it, because my fingernails enable me to clamp down on things, and my fine motor is so good, I just always forget to go looking for the pliers. But you're right, Pendrake, pliers would help. Hold on, Sam. I'll go get the book and show it to you on screen. Make sure I've got the title right. The only one I found on Amazon was a hardcover used. But it was endorsed by the physical therapists I follow on YouTube. There we go. All right. I think I've got it. I'm going to just bevel the top bits. Yeah, there we are. Let's see how that guy fits now. Oh yeah, perfect. Yay. Good enough. That fits. And just because the blue is showing it's not a deal breaker. I could slide it over a little bit into a more narrow part. Or I could just paint that black. I can just leave the floor as is. It's not a big deal. Doesn't have to be perfect. You can also flip it around a little bit here. Sometimes if you flip it, you'll get a better result. Yeah, that's better. It fits better that way because it's a little bit more rounded this way. So I think that's like a more proper position. I scoot it over. Yeah, there. Put it there. Yes, it is a textured cardstock that actually is built like this, or shadow. I gave the specifics earlier. It's plastruct and it's the patio stone, so it actually looks like this. I like to cut it up because I like to have more space and a deeper space between the stones. I think it just looks better to make it more 3D. So let me glue this one and then I'll go grab that book, Sam. Boop. 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 And I'll slide it in there and it'll look cool. And then it'll glue. Let me grab my other one, then we'll do this little tiny piece. We're moving right along. We'll almost get it done this stream. Yeah, this is like the if you really want to do it yourself for personal pain, whether it be injuries or repetitive stress or just stuff. So this is the book, Becoming a Supple Leopard, which is a great title, by Dr. Kelly Starrett, who's apparently a pretty renowned expert in the field, according to the physical therapist who recommended this. But yeah, like, he covers all different areas of the body and the different systems, and he gives you movements, which are exercises essentially, to both build fitness and to also correct incorrect movement patterns. And he concentrates very much, like, the pictures are amazing that show you step-by-step form. It really shows you how to do it. So, yeah, there you go, Smallish Sam. Really cool book, and I'm really looking forward to reading it. Because it just builds on everything that I've been working on with the pain-free book, and then, hi Kiki, and then my CrossFit stuff. And yeah, cool. Good, Sam. Hi Kiki, yeah, that's a sniffy book. I know used books always have extra sniffs, because you don't know where they've come from. Yes. I don't read very many physical books anymore, but that was not available on ebook, I think. So, and that's one with all those great photos. Honestly, I'm so glad I got the hard copy. My nonfiction books I do tend to get in a hard copy. All right, let's bevel this little sucker and get it in. Oh yeah, this is a real deep dive. If you love to learn, like, because he's definitely talking about how like how your ankle and your knee and your hip all work together and stuff like that, you know. He's talking about functional movement and personal rehabilitation, which is great because sometimes I feel pretty strongly that physical therapy should be available as part of our health insurance packages, like not just when we're injured. Like, because physical therapy exercises, like the great strengthening exercises, like all that stuff is stuff you can do yourself and you should do yourself, right? You should be able to anyway. Like, a lot of us need the physical therapist to like bully us through some of that stuff to make sure we do it. So it's not like people will stop using physical therapists. But I just really feel, I feel like having access to a physical therapist, like, just because I want to stay strong, like, I wish that was part of preventative health care. Yeah, exactly. Yes, not just for injury, but for prevention of, yes. I like to know the whys and the wherefores, and when I was taking physical therapy after I hurt my back, when I was going to a physical therapist every week or so, I was just thinking to myself all during that, I'm like, you know, this is stuff we probably should all be doing all the time. Because the minute you get out, like physical therapy makes you feel better and gets you stronger, and then your problem goes away. But then you get out of physical therapy, you stop doing exercises, you stop resistance training and doing the stretches, and then, you know, maybe the problem comes back in a year or two. And it's just like, that's why I really like physical therapists who go on the internet, like go on YouTube and give information, you know, good stretches. I like the old guys. I like Bob and Brad. I think Bob actually came up with a health problem, speech locomotion issue, and they stopped doing videos, but they're really good at sharing stretches. I learned a lot from them. And they're funny. They're Midwestern guys, and I grew up in the Midwest, so I get their humor. But their stretches help me a lot with my lower back. There we go. So that fits in really nicely. So there we go. Now we got some nice variety here. Yeah, that fits. I think it fits. I think it does. Yeah, just barely. So we'll pop that little guy in. Boop. I think I might start a new project on my birthday. I don't know. I'm going to see there's so much things I just want to do on my birthday. I want to work on the book a lot because I'm writing the climax scene, like the most exciting scene, and I want to finish that scene for sure while I've got my day off. I'm going to work on it all morning. If I really pushed, I think I could finish the book this weekend. Like, I really do. Maybe I will. Like, if I did, like, I would have to do, like, 3,000 words a day, probably. But I could do it. I could do it. It's within my grasp. I can feel it. All right. This little guy. This little square is a little too big. It's more than I need. Maybe I need to reach for a little. But the rectangles are too thin. So maybe I'll do this. But that makes this, the problem with this is that makes this corner really hard to do. So maybe I want to instead cut this like down this line and then curve it over along this line. There. Good enough. And I'm excited to go running at the track tonight. Like, my weight is going down again, and I lost another 1/4 inch off my waist. Booyah! So I'm excited. Like, progress with my weight loss stuff always gets me excited. I'm getting to the point where I can see biceps, guys. Like, they're there. Like, there's still a lot of flab around them, but I can see them. I'm just going to use my snipper for this. Take that off. Oh yeah, Bob and Brad are awesome, aren't they? I'm glad you like them too, Graniko. See, I thought I was getting sciatica, and I had false sciatica. And their stretches, the figure 4 stretch, they're like, just do this. And I'm like, all right, I did it. And sure enough, the pain goes away. So now figure 4 stretch is what I do before and after every single CrossFit and before I go out to walk run. Alright, so I'm going to use my clippers as well to kind of trim this down. Yeah, they're amazing. They're great guys. It's great to see 2 older guys who are just like not afraid of embracing like modern media. Like you can tell they have other people helping them, but they're just like, sure, let's do this. There. I love their videos. trim this down until we have trimmed away the black part there. Because again, if we trim it a little too far, we just leave a little bit bigger gap between the stones. Not a big deal. But yeah, I feel like with my CrossFit and my running, in addition to my diet, because in the old days, last time I lost the weight on keto, I was watching my calories with the keto diet, and I was walking, but I wasn't weight training, and I wasn't running at all, jogging at all. And now I've added in the jogging and the weight training. I feel like now is the time to lose the weight. Yeah, hip flexors, yep. I think everybody, because we sit all the time. So our poor hip flexors are always sitting here in this bent position. They're never like doing anything else. It's no wonder they get horrible, like our quads get all tight and nasty. Because we're just sitting all the time. You really can't blame our bodies for being mad at us. You really can't. With the stuff we do to them. So just going to carve away a little bit here. Clip off my little sharp edges. Yeah, I do the stretch where you like put one leg up and the other leg back, let it stretch back, so you stretch down the quad and the hip flexor. I like that stretch before I walk as well. Started doing quad stretches after I walk more. And that has made more of a difference than anything. Doing it after the workout. Yeah, I feel like I'm finally on my way. I feel like I can lose this weight. I can get down to my goal. And I mean, the whole thing is like, sure, I'm watching my calories now, but as my weight drops and then I'm able to do more activity, then I can actually end up eating more without having to worry about regaining the weight as long as I stay active. I don't feel deprived though. I'm doing like 1,650 calories a day, so between 1,600 and 1,650. Which is a decent amount of food, all things considered. I'm not hungry. I feel like if I really get the running going, that I'll end up eating. Like I hear about all these people eating 2,500 calories a day because they run, right? And I'm like, I would like to be able to do that. Pigeon, yeah, I love pigeon. We do pigeon as part of our warm up for CrossFit. Pigeon pose is awesome. Let's see here. We're a little bit fat on the lower edge here. Otherwise we're looking pretty good. Yeah, we're looking pretty good. Maybe cut a little bit off of that. This is fun and relaxing. Like the key to like doing this sort of thing is not to think of it as monotonous and annoying, but to just like get into it and just enjoy the crafting of it. If you're not able to do that, then yeah, just cut out a whole section that's going to just go over the base and just use it without cutting apart all your flagstones. But I mean, really good basing, I think, is like it requires kind of the attention to minutia. And the key there is not to look at it as a bother. but to look at it as a nice relaxing time with your hobby. Like, the older I get, the more I realize that, like, the key to me enjoying painting again is just not to stress about any part of it. Just to do it at my own speed and not to expect myself to, like, do X or Y or, you know, perform at a certain level. But just to enjoy putting paint on the model. And, like, enjoy every step that makes the model come closer to what I have in my head. Boop. Boop, boop. So when I get that mindset going, okay, I'm going to carve away a little bit at the top here, because otherwise this is fitting pretty well. Yeah. Because otherwise, if I get too expectation-y about it, or I get too much, like, if I don't just enjoy the process, then I get stressed out. Or I start being too self-critical. Which is never good for your creativity. There, I chunked off a bunch of it. That should work. Boop. Yay! All right, good. Pop it out. Glue. Boop, boop, boop. There it goes. Excellent. So now I've got this little triangle that I need and this little triangle that I need, which I could probably get by just cutting one of these guys in like diagonal. Like, that would be a good starting point. And then chopping off the ends. So I'm going to just do that right now. And we started a little late, so do we have anybody following us up, Quindy? I could just do this real quick. At least set it up. So I'm going to cut it on the diagonal. Then I've got 2 triangles, which is what I need. Good to go till you're done? Okay. I've got tomorrow off, so I can afford to go a little late today. At least to just get these guys set up. But this should be just about perfect once I snip these noses off of these guys. So, boop. So when we try it, yeah, that'll fit almost perfect. And this guy, flip it over. That one's going to take a little bit more work, I think, just looking at it. I'm going to snip its little nose off and then put it in there. Reaper Live should... I've got till Reaper Live. God, no. I have things to do between now and then. I have to shoot my Patreon video. I'm doing the stippling video this month, guys. Because I did the real fun painting thin lines one last time. Alright, so I just use... If you want to do quick, you can just use your cutters to just snip a big section off. And then kind of look at where you are. So yeah, we've got an excess bit there we can see, and we need to clip the nose off of that. This is really close, though. Boop. Ah. Boop. This is a hard one. Ah. Boop. Yeah, it's where you need, but even a needle nose pliers would make this hard. Like, you need like a really fine tweezers, but even then putting enough like force on this is hard. Gonna put it up there we go. I just need to get it a little bit shaved. If I can just shave off this extra bit, I probably won't bevel it much. I'll just get it in there. Painting, oh yeah. 90-day challenge number 2. Hey, who is participating in the 90-day challenge? Which of you guys is going to do it? There we go. Giving it a go. Cool. Anybody else? Flip. There. Ah. Get in there, little guy. There we go. Ha! Yeah. So if I do that, like if I just barely get it, and I'm like, oh, well, I could take a little more off, but yeah. So let's take this off. Boop-a-doo. Just slide it over, and then put our glue. A little bit. And we'll slide our guy down again. Get him to socket right in there. Yay! Oh, no. There we are. And then, this last guy. Haven't bought the model yet. People are thinking, too many minis to work on. Yeah. That's fair, that's fair. I mean, ReaperCon's coming at the end of the summer. I would much rather see you guys enter the competition. Remember, there are cool manufacturer stuff too, Moonlight Minis, and even like the Mouselings and stuff. I was thinking, guys, about entering for Mouselings, because I have the Mouseling Wraith and the Mouseling Guard. If I can get their base built in time, I could enter them. I've always wanted one of the Mouseling trophies. I don't want to, like, be in for Sophie's or anything, but I would love to... I would love to snag a Mouseling trophy, because I loved the Mouseling trophy so much. So for these little guys, I'm not as into the beveling because it's just really hard. There we go. So just a little bit of irregularity is fine there, and I can always paint them a little bit to suggest more irregularity as well. Although this one still has a bevel bit on it that I didn't take off, so that'll do it. To give me a bit of irregularity. Glue. There's a lot of glue. It's alright though. Even if it's floating in a sea of glue, it's still okay. It just makes it harder to make it stay. There we are. Alright. Yay! We have a pretty base, guys. We have a pretty base. We didn't use one of our little squares, so I'll put it... I have an extra square of like cork pieces, a bag for cork pieces and stuff. I'll put it in there. Yeah, I just need to figure out how I'm going to build the support structures, probably in cosplay. Yeah, I ended up not using cork at all. So yeah, that took us about an hour and a half to make a nice tiled base. I'm okay with that. It's a little bit of extra effort. Yeah, I figure if I use cosplay for the support fillers, I'll do it like an open bridge. So the timbers are extending toward you, but I'm going to just cut them off kind of irregularly. So I'm not going to do like... Because doing like the sides on the bridge is just going to block the view of the models, so... Yay! Yeah, we'll see. If I can get the cosplay parts done, then I can do the wood part on stream. Because I'll use... David's got some basswood or balsa. And that's to put a wooden planking on top of the bridge. That would be my choice, my material of choice. So first I have to like measure something out, and then I have to kind of pose, and then I have to... Maybe I'll do some of it on stream. Since we're gonna do more basing and stuff. All right, so we got our happy little flagstones. We can really do her anywhere on these, but we can there. So now it's more rustic, there's more relief to it, more texture to it just out the gate. And so next time we will maybe put a little bit of texture paste on it. We'll carve a little bit more off the bottom here because I think I need to carve a little bit more off of this section to make it stay flat. But if we do some texture paste on top of this, then it'll help to disguise any irregularities with the bottom of our base. Yes, I will be, and I'll probably work on Critter. I will be streaming. Will you be there, Quinty? Will you be there? Yay! Good. Yeah, I'll work on Critter. Some green work on Critter. And then Critter will be ready to prime after that. So we'll probably, after I do the green work on Critter, we'll probably work on the basing for Barbarian Girl, because I want to actually finish her and take her to CrossFit, because I keep telling people what I do for a living, and my CrossFit people are just like, that sounds really cool, but I have no like concept of like, you know, that like what you can do with that sort of stuff. And so I really want to, she's very, very CrossFit, so I want to bring her because she's got good muscles. But yeah. Yes. Thank you guys. Thanks for the birthday wishes, Korniko. I love you guys too. I'm going to be 52, guys. So if I live to 104, I'm in the halfway point. I think I'm just going to keep doing that. I'm going to be like, before it was, 50 is my halfway point, because I want to live to 100. Now I'm 52. I think, maybe I'll live to 104. I'm just going to keep pushing it out, so I'm always at the halfway point. It doesn't work so well when you're 75. I don't think I'm going to hit 150. Yes, thanks guys. All the hearts. Yay, all the hearts, dancy hearts. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I have a pretty easy day today, and I gotta go and buy some steak kebabs for dinner tonight, and then tomorrow David's taking me out for my birthday. So yeah, thank you much. Thank you everybody. Thank you Quindy, of course, the most for being our wonderful mod. So I will see you all. Yeah, I will see you all on Saturday, and hang in there and have a great... and happy first day of summer, by the way. Happy first day of summer, my favorite season. All right, I'll see you guys later, and you have a great one.